Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I am creating a card using some visible image products, and I will be doing some masking on this card. And so the products that I'm using today are the Forever Love stamp from Visible Image. I had this in my stash for a while, and I don't know that I've ever used the flower portion of it, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then I'm also using this fabulous new stencil. This is called a Distressed Brick, and this is actually on pre-order right now, and the release will be on February 11th. So if you're watching this video before then you can go ahead and order this, but it's not going to be shipped out until around the 11th or so. So to start out, I have placed a piece of 5.5 by 5.5 Bristol Smooth cardstock into my MISTI, and I put the stencil down so I could figure out the placement of where I wanted that flower. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up that flower with some VersaFine black. And I will be adding the stencil over this flower, and I don't want that pattern to be in the actual flower. And so there's several ways you can mask off a stencil like this with all these little kind of details and drips. I'm going to use some liquid masking fluid to go over that main portion of the flower in the middle, and then I do also put it on some of those drips. One way that you can get around using liquid masking fluid is to just go ahead and stamp up your image and then cut out that flower portion only, and then kind of glue that on top once you've done your stencil work. Another way that you can get around using masking fluid is to create just a paper mask for that flower portion. And then using the stencil over that. So it's really a couple options. Another thing that you could do, which I didn't do in this video, is you can stamp your image up and then use some clear embossing powder over it, and that will act as a resist, at least for the really detailed portions of the flower, which are like the little drips and drops, and then mask off that middle portion, or just create another flower to color and place on top of that. So there's several things that you can do. On my stencil background, I've gone ahead and used some black soot. So I used black soot first with my blending brush, and then I went in with my finger dauber for a little more detail, and then I went in with the colors Stormy Sky to give that kind of blue-gray look. And then I'm going to grab several of the stamps from the stamp set and place those around the card. So I placed the word love, and then in those kind of little spaces, I am going to add that little skull. And I did not plan this, but it fits perfectly in the stencil, kind of those little breaks in the brick. And so it worked out perfectly. So I placed the skull stamp in 3 places on the stencil, so on the top and then on each side on the bottom. And then I wanted a little more stencil to kind of cover or block in those, specifically the word love, and then at the top where this top skull is, I wanted a little more brick to be up there. So I just placed my stencil down, tried to match it up as well as I could, and then I followed the same process using the same inks to add a little bit more of that stencil, because what I ended up wanting to do was to make it look like these pieces were coming out of the brick. But to finish off the background, I went ahead and added a little bit of Salvaged Patina, and now I am splattering a little bit of white ink. And once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and remove the mask. It's really easy to do. You just rub your finger along the masking fluid that's dried, and it will come right off. And to color up that pretty rose, I went ahead and grabbed a Tombow marker, and so I'm just going to go ahead and add the lines. I'm just trying to follow the lines of the flower with the marker, and then I will go in with my water brush and move that marker color out, which is the great thing about Tombows. They are awesome for blending out the ink. And then for a little bit more definition around the flower and also around those skulls, I'm taking a black Stabilo-All Aquarelle pencil, and this is a black pencil, and it is awesome for adding kind of that depth and dimension to these items. And so basically I just went ahead and traced around the flower, and then since this is a water soluble pencil, it will move very well with water, and so I just took my damp water brush and moved that color out a little bit to give that definition. And I'm going to do the same thing for those skulls to make it look like they're coming out of that brick. And then to darken up the flower, I went in with a black Posca pen and added a little bit more detail. And then to finish the card off, I took some black ink and watered it down and added a little bit of black splatter. And that's going to finish the card for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video or find it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.